This is the iconic Hotel Nacional de Cuba in Havana, a must-see attraction for any visitor to Cuba, and one that's hosted film stars from the golden age up until the present day, world leaders and mob leaders. Everything that could have happened in Cuba has happened here, and we're here for a very special episode of Sherry Aficionado, the first one actually on the road outside of Spain, celebrating International Sherry Week. These are wines that once dominated the world and made Jerez and the surrounding towns of the Sherry Triangle some of the richest places on earth. I am here at the Havana Cigar Lounge to bring you a very special episode of Sherry Aficionado, an episode with a difference. Firstly, it will be very short. Secondly, I'm having to shoot it myself on my iPhone, so my apologies in advance for the production values. Now, why Cuba, I hear you ask? Well, there are two reasons, I guess. Firstly, it is International Sherry Week, and whilst there are events happening in markets all around the world, hundreds of events, as International Sherry Week gets bigger and bigger, by some poor planning on my part, I ended up finding myself in Cuba for this week. And I don't think Cuba is very much on the sherry map. So I thought, one, I would put it on the map by producing an episode from here, and two, I'd do a little investigation as to just how much sherry there is in Cuba. So, sherry and Cuba. Well, it's a bit of a stretch, but I believe there is a connection that can be made. And largely because of this excellent book that I came across a few months ago, originally called La Templanza in Spanish and A Vineyard in Andalusia in the English translation. It tells the story of an expatriate Spaniard who makes and loses a fortune in Mexico City, then goes to the place that was one of the richest places in the world at that time, Havana, in search of another one, and through a rather convoluted and complicated story ends up winning the deeds to a sherry bodega and lands in the Machanundo of a bodega that's rather down on its heels but has a great tradition. He then moves on back to Jerez with the original intention of selling the properties, but of course there's a happy ending in this. He meets and falls in love with a woman with a connection to the vineyard, and of course falls in love with the wonderful terroir and wines of Jerez, and decides to try and make a go of it in bringing the bodega back to life. It's incredibly well researched, and in fact, Maria Duenas, who wrote the book, was actually speaking at the recent Copa de Jerez festival. There's a symposium that runs in parallel to it about the whole process of understanding the world of sherry wines. So I recommend it to you. There's more. In fact, also, the book has been made into a 10-part series by Amazon Prime, and it's very good. The opening credits are a bit cheesy, so I think if you can skip past those. The Spanish version with subtitles actually has about 20% of it in English, because London and obviously the sherry trade, a lot of British people involved in it, features quite heavily. And the sections on Jerez, where it was largely filmed, of course, including the sections in Havana actually as well, are true sherry porn. So really one for the aficionado. I commend it to you. So the second task I set myself here in Cuba was to see just how much sherry there is here. And the answer is not very much. So I scoured the wine lists of top hotel restaurants, top private restaurants. Pretty much everywhere I went, I tried to find some sherry. And in fact, I only found one place with sherry on the drinks list, and that was, perhaps not surprisingly, a Spanish chain, Iberostar, who had a Fino on the list. Naturally, I ordered it, but unfortunately they didn't have any. So a little bit disappointing on that front. I also went around the various liquor stores that exist in town. They're all state-run, of course. And finally, actually on the penultimate day of my entire trip here, I came across this half bottle of Tío Pepe. So naturally, it being International Sherry Week, I bought it so we can enjoy it here on the video. Now it turns out later I found in the same store, I found some full-size bottles of Tío Pepe in this very hotel. Now you've got to really like your Tío Pepe because it costs $41 a bottle, which as you all know is quite a bit of a markup on the price you pay in most markets. So always great to have a glass of Tío Pepe. Some people have suggested that I'm actually running a promotional campaign for González Vías and Tío Pepe. That's not really the case, and I promise there won't be any more Tío Pepe films for a while now. But as we said in many of the videos on González Vías, the thing about Tío Pepe is you can find it almost anywhere in the world with a little bit of effort. And again, I think we've proven that point today. So as I said at the beginning of this video, I'm here on the beautiful Havana's Lounge at the National. And I think it would be rude on my last day not to enjoy a cigar here as well. And much as I love a Fino, I don't think anyone would suggest that a Fino and a Cohiba are a marriage made in heaven. An Amontillado perhaps, an Oloroso, but not really a Fino. So much as it pains me, on Sherry Aficionado, I'm going to have to be a bit of a traitor to the cause. I'm going to put down my sherry and I'm going to pick up my Cohiba that I prepared earlier. And I'm going to pair that with a 15-year-old Cuban rum. I think that's going to work. Probably better. That concludes this special international episode for International Sherry Week of Sherry Aficionado. I hope you enjoyed it. It was really just a bit of fun, I guess. There'll be future videos coming down the path, big bodega videos again, back onto the piece. I'd love to hear from you if you've enjoyed this, about your own experiences of sherry in Cuba, if you've had any. And also, we've touched on the subject of cigars and sherry, so it'd be great to see what your own thoughts are on that. Certainly the Oloroso Amontillado thing I think could work very well, but I'm really not an expert in this space, so I'd love to hear your ideas. Perhaps we could do another video on that one. So until the next time, please do like and subscribe. It really helps us with the channel. Salud y nos vemos.